Very good evening. Welcome to News Tonight on Rajya Sabha Television. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you. All the big stories from India and across the world coming up in the next 30 minutes. Let us start the news bulletin with the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi lashes out at those opposing major reforms in the farm, labour and health sectors, accuses the opposition parties of humiliating the farmers of the country in the name of protest. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates 6 major projects related to Namami Gange mission in Uttarakhand. First museum dedicated to the river Ganga inaugurated. Prime Minister also launches the logo of Jal Jeevan Mission. India calls out to China for deviating from its earlier commitments on border between the two countries. Air Chief Marshal RKS Bhaduria says Air Force fully resolved to counter any misadventure in eastern Ladakh. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu calls for private participation in providing health facilities in remote areas of the country, adds that people must adapt to the new normal amid the COVID-19 pandemic and take maximum precautions. And COVID-19 recoveries in India cross 51 lakh, the highest in the world. Total number of infections crossed 61 lakh on Tuesday. The top story. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that the recent reforms related to farmers and workers will empower the farmers, workers, women and the youth of the country, while hitting out at those who are opposing these reforms just for the sake of it. Prime Minister Modi said that his government will continue to come up with the schemes to empower the people of the country as he inaugurated 6 mega projects in Uttarakhand under the Namami Gange mission. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday inaugurated 6 mega projects in Uttarakhand under the Namami Gange mission. The projects include construction of a 68 MLD sewage treatment plant, upgradation of the existing 27 MLD plant at Jagjitpur and construction of an 18 MLD sewage treatment plant at Sarai in Haridwar. Inaugurating the project, Prime Minister Modi said, Ganga brings prosperity to almost half of the country's population, hence non-stop flow and clean water in the river is very much needed. He said currently under the Namami Gange mission, projects worth 30,000 crore rupees have either been completed or are underway. He pointed out that under the Jal Jeevan mission, drinking water connections have been provided to 2 crore families in just 1 year.
नमामि गंगे मिशन को सिर्फ गंगा जी की साफ सफाई तक ही सीमित नहीं रखा, बल्कि इसे देश का सबसे बड़ा और विस्तृत नदी संरक्षण कार्यक्रम बनाया। गंगा जल में गंदा पानी गिरने से रोकने के लिए सीवेज ट्रीटमेंट प्लांटों का जाल बिछाना शुरू किया। आज देश उस दौर से बाहर निकल चुका है जब पानी की तरह पैसा तो बह जाता था, लेकिन नतीजे नहीं मिलते थे। आज पैसा न पानी की तरह बहता है, न पानी में बहता है, पर पैसा पाई पाई पानी पर लगाया जाता है।
The Prime Minister reiterated that the recent major reforms have been brought in to empower the farmers, youth and women of the country. He criticized the opposition for launching agitation against the reforms in labour and farm sectors.
आज ये लोग एमएसपी पर ही किसानों में भ्रम फैला रहे हैं। देश में एमएसपी भी रहेगी और किसानों को कहीं पर भी अपनी उपज बेचने की आजादी भी रहेगी। लेकिन ये आजादी कुछ लोग बर्दाश्त नहीं कर पा रहे हैं। आज जब केंद्र सरकार किसानों को उनके अधिकार दे रही है, तो भी ये लोग विरोध पर उतर आए हैं। ये लोग चाहते हैं कि देश का किसान खुले बाजार में अपनी उपज नहीं बेच पाए। जिन सामानों की, उपकरणों की किसान पूजा करता है, उन्हें आग लगाकर ये लोग अब किसानों को अपमानित कर रहे हैं।
The Prime Minister also inaugurated Ganga Avlokan, the first museum aimed at showcasing the culture, biodiversity and rejuvenation activities done in the river. The museum is located at Chandi Ghat in Haridwar. A book, Rowing Down the Ganges, co-published by National Mission for Clean Ganga and Wildlife Institute of India, was also launched at the event. The logo of Jal Jeevan Mission was also unveiled by the Prime Minister. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. And India on Tuesday accused China of deviating from its earlier commitments on the border between the two countries. The External Affairs Ministry asserted that India had never accepted China's unilaterally defined 1959 line of actual control. It further hoped that the Chinese side will sincerely abide by all the agreements and refrain from advancing such untenable interpretations of the LAC.
Spelling out India's stand, the External Affairs Ministry said that India has never accepted the so-called unilaterally defined 1959 line of actual control. MEA spokesperson Anurag Srivastav said this position has been consistent and well known, including to the Chinese side. Further emphasizing that both sides showed commitment to reach a common understanding of the alignment of the LAC, Srivastav referred to various bilateral agreements, including the 1993 Agreement on Maintenance of Peace and Tranquility along the LAC, the 1996 Agreement on Confidence-Building Measures in Military Field, the 2005 Protocol on Implementation of CBMs, the 2005 Agreement on Political Parameters and Guiding Principles for Settlement of the India-China Boundary Question. The MEA spokesperson said that both India and China had engaged in an exercise to clarify and confirm the LAC up to 2003, but this process could not proceed further as the Chinese side did not show a willingness to pursue it. He said the insistence of the Chinese side that there is only one LAC is contrary to the commitments made by China in these agreements. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And in related news, Chief of Air Staff, Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhaduria said on Tuesday that the present security scenario along our northern frontiers is at an uneasy no war, no peace status. He asserted that the Indian Air Force has responded to the situation with rapidity and is fully resolved to counter any misadventure in eastern Ladakh. He added that the recent induction of Rafale jets, along with previous acquisitions of a C-17 Globemaster aircraft, as well as Chinook and Apache helicopters, have provided the Indian Air Force with substantial tactical and strategic capability enhancement. He further said that air power will be a crucial enabler in our victory in any future conflict.
The present security scenario along our northern frontiers is at an uneasy no war, no peace status. Our defense forces are prepared for any eventuality, as you are aware. IF has responded with rapidity and resolve to counter any misadventure. And its air power will be a crucial enabler in our victory in any future conflict. It is really critical to any future conflict. And it is therefore imperative that IF obtains and maintains technological edge over our adversaries. The recent inductions of Rafale, along with C-17s, Chinook, Apaches, and other aircraft fleets, has provided IF with substantial tactical and strategic capability enhancement.
And Defence Minister Rajnath Singh on Tuesday released the Project Management Approach Guidelines for IDEX, or Innovations for Defence Excellence. Rajnath Singh also launched the Defence India Startup Challenge 4, in which 11 new challenges will be presented to innovators, covering all the needs of the forces. IDEX 440 is an initiative launched by the Centre to connect the forces on ground with startups to facilitate idea sharing and innovation. Apart from Singh, Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat was also present at the event, being held via video conferencing. Rajnath Singh talked about how Indian startups and security forces could work together to bring revolutionary changes in modernizing the country's armed forces. He hoped that the Disc 4 challenge will surge ahead of its earlier editions and promote innovation and development, and that the IDEX for 4G initiative will ensure the participation of our personnel in this program.
रक्षा क्षेत्र को और अधिक सशक्त और आत्मनिर्भर बनाने के क्रम में हमने ये अच्छी तरह समझा है कि इसमें सरकारी क्षेत्र के साथ साथ निजी क्षेत्र की भागीदारी भी बहुत अधिक महत्वपूर्ण है। और जैसा कि आप सभी को मालूम है, इसके लिए हमने कई नीतिगत कदम भी उठाए हैं। सेनाओं में टेक्नोलॉजी के प्रयोग को बढ़ावा देने के लिए यह मोदी द्वारा शुरू किया गया आईडेक्स एक महत्वपूर्ण कदम साबित हुआ है और इसके प्रति लोगों का भरोसा और विश्वास बढ़ा है।
And in some other news, as burning of crop stubble resumes in Punjab, Union Minister Prakash Javadekar will meet the environment ministers of 5 states to review the air pollution situation. The meeting will be held with the environment secretaries of Delhi, Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan on 1st of October to review the current situation and also the steps taken by them to curb pollution levels over the last 4 years. Javadekar also highlighted the steps taken by the government in the last 4 years to curb air pollution, including shutting down of power plants, completing the peripheral expressway, which was struck for 15 years, rollout of Bharat Stage 6 vehicles, construction and demolition of waste rules, subsidizing electric vehicles, among others.
पोल्यूशन कम करने के लिए बदरपुर पावर प्लांट बंद किया। इस एनसीआर में जो बाकी पावर प्लांट इंपैक्ट करते हैं, ऐसा सोनीपत का पावर प्लांट भी बंद हुआ, फेज आउट हुआ। पेरिफेरल एक्सप्रेसवे जिसका काम 15 साल से नहीं हुआ था, वो काम पूरा किया मोदी सरकार ने और उसके कारण 60,000 ट्रक जिनका दिल्ली में कुछ भी काम नहीं होता था, दिल्ली से वो दूसरे राज्यों में गुजरते थे और पोल्यूट करते थे दिल्ली को, अब उनका दिल्ली में आना बंद हो गया है।
News related to Parliament. The department-related parliamentary standing committees have been restructured for 2020-2021. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla gave his assent to the restructuring of the committees on the recommendation of Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu. The committees will be deemed effective from 13th of September. Currently, there are 24 department-related standing committees, 8 of which are under Rajya Sabha. Each committee has 10 members from the Rajya Sabha and 21 members from the Lok Sabha. The chairpersons of all parliamentary standing committees have been retained. The department-related parliamentary standing committees are constituted for a period of 1 year and comprise 21 members from Lok Sabha and 10 from the Rajya Sabha. Some election-related news, and the Election Commission has announced the schedule for the by-polls to 56 assembly seats in 11 states. The Election Commission has also announced the date for the by-poll to 1 Lok Sabha seat in Bihar. By-polls to 54 assembly seats would be held on 3rd of November. By-polls for 1 Lok Sabha seat in Bihar and 2 assembly seats in Manipur would be held on 7th of November. Votes for all the by-polls will be counted on 10th of November. By-elections are also being held for 28 seats in Madhya Pradesh. 8 assembly seats are going for by-polls in Gujarat, 7 in Uttar Pradesh, 2 each in Odisha, Nagaland, Manipur, Karnataka and Jharkhand, and 1 each in Chhattisgarh, Telangana and Haryana. The poll panel issued a separate statement saying that it has decided not to hold at this stage assembly by-polls in 7 seats across Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Assam and West Bengal. While there are 2 vacancies each in the assemblies of Assam, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, 1 seat is vacant in the West Bengal legislature. And the 8-day monsoon session of the Odisha Assembly began on Tuesday with a strict adherence to COVID-19 protocols. Many members opted for digital mode to participate in the proceedings. Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik also took part via video conference from his residence. Several BJP legislators, including those above the age of 60, attended the session through virtual platforms from the Lok Seva Bhavan and the district collectors' offices in their respective constituencies. So far, 51 legislators, including 9 ministers, have contracted the virus in Odisha. As the House assembled for the day, Patnaik moved obituary references on the passing away of former President Pranab Mukherjee, 2 sitting MLAs and health professionals engaged in COVID-19 duty. Speaker S.N. Patro then adjourned the House till 3 p.m. as a mark of respect to the sitting members who died recently. The Assembly will take up 16 bills in this session. And in news tonight, we'll take a very short break. We'll be back with more news. Stay tuned. Welcome back after the break. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has called upon people to adapt the new normal amid the COVID-19 pandemic and take maximum precautions. Inaugurating the 14th edition of FICCI Heal on the theme Post-COVID Healthcare World, the New Beginning via video conference, the Vice President said the pandemic has taught us the overriding importance of staying healthy, both physically and mentally. He also called upon doctors and the media to create awareness and educate people to stay healthy and fit. He also urged the private sector to set up modern healthcare facilities in rural areas through the PPP model. Maintaining that the nation cannot remain in lockdown forever, he referred to the Prime Minister's statement that life is important, but livelihood is equally important. Condemning the instances of stigma and discrimination against frontline warriors and COVID-19 patients, Vice President Naidu said that there is a need to promote empathetic attitude and positive messaging.
We have to make good quality health care available and affordable. Available, accessible and affordable. This is very important. We must capitalize on the core competence of each stakeholder in our country. We must draw on the best from world to strengthen our healthcare delivery system. I would like the private sector to come forward and expand its footprint through public-private partnership and set up modern healthcare facilities in the rural areas, because India is still 60% rural, particularly in the remote and inaccessible places.
And now let's take a look at the COVID-19 situation in the country. According to the Health Ministry, the number of recovered COVID-19 cases in India has crossed 51 lakh, which is the highest number of recoveries anywhere in the world. This on a day when the total number of cases in the country have crossed 61 lakh. Meanwhile, ICMR's second Sero survey has revealed that a considerable population is still vulnerable to COVID-19. The government has yet again urged the people to strictly follow COVID-19 protocols, including wearing masks and following social distancing to fight the disease.
With 84,877 recoveries in the last 24 hours, over 51 lakh people have recovered from the novel coronavirus infection in the country so far. On the other hand, for the first time in 28 days, deaths due to COVID-19 fell below 1,000 over a 24-hour period on Tuesday, even as total infections crossed 61.45 lakh with an increase of 70,589 new cases. While active cases stand at 9.47 lakh, deaths in the country have crossed 96,318, with 776 deaths reported in the last 24 hours alone. 11.42 lakh tests were conducted on Monday. Till now, the country has conducted more than 7.3 crore tests. Testing has, in fact, been on the rise in the country. In September alone, India has tested 2.97 crore samples as compared to 2.39 crore samples in August, 1.05 crore in July, and 8.64 lakh in April. Tests per million have crossed 52,000 this month. In some good news, India's recovery rate is now 82.58%, the highest in the world. Fatality rate is 1.57%, while 15.4% of the total cases are active.
इसमें अगर 2 दिन छोड़ दें तो प्रत्येक दिन जो नए रिकवरीज हुई, यानी वो लोग जो स्वस्थ हो गए और घरों को चले गए, और जो नए केस उस दिन आए, अगर दोनों की तुलना करें तो जो लोग रिकवर हुए उनकी संख्या नए संक्रमित लोगों की संख्या से ज़्यादा है. तो ये भी एक ट्रेंड है जो हम आशा करते हैं कि लंबे समय तक बरकरार रहेगा.
Meanwhile, ICMR's second Sero survey report reveals that a considerable population is still vulnerable to COVID-19. As per the report, 1 in 15 individuals above the age of 10 were estimated to have been exposed to the COVID-19 virus by the end of August. At 15.6%, the risk in urban slums is estimated to be twice than that in non-slum areas, where the risk is estimated to be 8.2% and 4 times than the risk in a rural setting. The survey was conducted in 700 villages and wards in 70 districts between August 17th and September 22nd, 2020.
And the prevalence in individuals above the age of 10 years was 6.6%. So from 0.73% it has gone down up to 6.6%, and the prevalence is not different by age group or gender. However, we clearly found that the urban slums were 15.6%, and urban non-slum was 8.2%, whilst the rural areas were 4.4%. And the prevalence, if we just compare with the adults more than 18, if we compare that from 0.73%, it has now become 7.1%, the prevalence.
The global death toll due to COVID-19 passed the 1 million mark on Tuesday, 9 months after the pandemic surfaced in December last year. The most deaths have been reported in the United States, followed by Brazil and India. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
It's been a decade since the first Aadhaar card was issued on 29th of September 2010 to Ranjana Sonowani. She received it from Congress President Sonia Gandhi in the presence of then Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. But the idea to create a unique number for each and every Indian resident started years before that, in 2006. In this report, let's take a look at the significance of the unique identification number for Indian residents. The Unique Identification Authority of India, or UIDAI, is a statutory authority established under the Aadhaar Targeted Delivery of Financial and Other Subsidies, Benefits and Services Act 2016. Aadhaar was intended to provide good governance, an efficient and transparent way for targeted delivery of subsidies, benefits and services to Indians by assigning them unique identity numbers. Another object of Aadhaar was to end duplicate and fake identities in welfare schemes and plug leaks and check corruption. The idea was first mooted in the first term of the UPA government by the Planning Commission. In 2006, the Department of Information Technology, Ministry of Communications and Information Technology gave administrative approval for a scheme to issue unique ID for below poverty line families. Its pilot project was developed by IT company Wipro. Utilizing its outreach, the government has funded a number of social welfare schemes focused towards the poor and most vulnerable sections of society. As on 29th of February 2020, a total of 164 notifications covering 299 schemes have been issued by various central ministries such as Targeted Public Distribution Scheme, Scholarship Schemes, Manrega, Fertilizer Subsidy, NSAP, PMJAY, among others. Further, Section 139AA of the Income Tax Act 1961, as introduced by the Finance Act 2017, provides for mandatory quoting of Aadhaar or enrollment ID of Aadhaar application form for filing of income tax returns and for making an application for allotment of permanent account number with effect from 1st of July 2017. As of today, over 126 crore Aadhaar numbers have been generated. Currently, more than 35,000 Aadhaar enrollment and update centers are functioning across the country. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. News from the northeast, and the flood situation in Assam has further worsened, with 3.18 lakh people affected in 13 districts of the state. The total death toll due to floods this year stands at 119 in the state. Out of the 13 affected districts, Nagaon is the worst hit with 1.99 lakh affected people. At least 389 villages are submerged. 13 relief camps and distribution centers have been set up in 4 districts where 117 people have taken shelter. In some other news, the India-Bangladesh bilateral virtual summit between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Sheikh Hasina will take place in December. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said that the preparations are on for the same as he held talks with his Bangladeshi counterpart during the 6th JCC meet on Tuesday. Apart from the issues of mutual interest, both nations also decided to jointly celebrate the Golden Jubilee of Bangladesh's Liberation War and the 50th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic ties between the two nations in 2021. India and Bangladesh organized a joint consultative commission meeting co-chaired by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and Bangladesh Foreign Minister A.K. Abdul Momen on Tuesday. Jaishankar said it was a comprehensive and proactive meeting that reviewed the full range of bilateral cooperation. The issues that figured in the meeting included trade and travel affected by COVID-19, economic and commercial matters, connectivity of rail, road, inland waterways and ports, expediting progress in ongoing projects, cooperation in energy and third-party energy projects, and the border situation. This was the 6th meeting of the India-Bangladesh Joint Consultative Commission. Relations between the two countries have taken a leap in the last few years after the land boundary agreement was implemented and connectivity projects took speed. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV. The top international focus, with just over 1 month left for the US presidential elections, the race to the White House is picking up pace. Beginning on Tuesday, the presidential debates will see US President Donald Trump and his Democratic challenger Joe Biden going head-to-head on various issues. The televised event will be held under COVID-19 protocols, with the candidates foregoing the handshake ahead of the debate. The number of audience members is also restricted this time, and everyone attending will have to undergo COVID-19 testing. Here are the details.
The stage is set for the first of the grand showdowns ahead of the US presidential polls. US President and Republican candidate Donald Trump and his rival Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden will come face-to-face for the first round of presidential debates on Tuesday. The first of the 3 presidential debates will take place at the Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, in Ohio, a key battleground state. The 90-minute debate will be moderated by Chris Wallace, popular Fox News anchor. It will begin at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 6:30 a.m. on Wednesday morning as per Indian time. The 6 topics picked by the moderator for Tuesday's debate are the candidates' track records, Supreme Court, COVID-19, economy, race and violence, and the integrity of the election. The second presidential debate will take place on October 15th at the Adrian Arsht Center for the Performing Arts in Miami, Florida. The second debate will be moderated by Steve Scully, the political editor at C-SPAN. On October 22nd, the third presidential debate will be held at Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee. This will be moderated by NBC News' White House correspondent Kristen Welker. The only vice presidential debate between Republican vice president candidate Mike Pence and Democratic vice presidential nominee Kamala Harris will be held on October 7th. The venue for that debate is the University of Utah, Salt Lake City in Utah. The debate will be moderated by USA Today's Washington bureau chief Susan Page. On November 3rd, the United States will vote to elect their next president. The winner and his running mate will be sworn in as president and vice president on January 20th, 2021. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And that's the wrap on this edition of News Tonight. Thanks so much for watching. Good night.